We hoped for hope after living through a crisis, only to find another growing in its place. The trust that supported us broke down, creating a world where we only focus on our own survival. But crises make us stronger, and knowledge leads to a better world. Once again, for a super compensation to freedom and prosperity, the 23rd World Knowledge Forum.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Knowledge Forum 2022. We are currently faced with multiple challenges, including the global pandemic, the war in Ukraine, significant disruptions in supply chains, inflation, and climate change. Arnold Toynbee, the English historian and a philosopher of history, pointed out that the history of mankind is a series of cycles of challenges and responses. The World Knowledge Forum 2022 will be held under the theme of super compensation to discuss prosperity after crisis and how to respond wisely to grand challenges. Here are two encyclopedias. One was published in Paris, France in 1751, and the other in Beijing, China, around the same period of time. The encyclopedia published in Paris was written by a collaborative group of about 140 top-notch European intellectuals, including Voltaire and Rousseau. It contains arguments to defend civil liberties and freedom of knowledge against the tyrannical political power. This encyclopedia marked a new milestone in human history as it eventually led to French Revolution and served as a momentum of shaping and spreading liberal democracy throughout the world. The revolution contributed to the rapid development in science and technology and triggered creative destruction. Meanwhile, in Beijing, China, Emperor Qianlong gave the order to compile the Siku Quanshu, or the complete library of the four treasures, during the period of the Qing dynasty. This compilation is one of the largest traditional collections of Chinese literature and writings of all types, embracing the knowledge of the Confucian culture. The dominating content of this encyclopedia, however, is based on the limited knowledge compiled by the emperor's absolute power and Confucian-centered discourse system. It was around that period of time that the Western modern society, based on free market economy, overtook the East. Freedom was regarded as the prerequisite to prosperity. The history of mankind was shaped through major crises, but freedom was consistently the driving force in overcoming the hardships. A typical example can be DuPont's achievements after the Great Depression. When scientists and engineers were struggling to find jobs due to the Great Depression, DuPont made an aggressive recruiting effort and hired them as research personnel. Chemist Wallace Carothers, who moved from Harvard University to DuPont's lab, worked with these researchers and invented the world's first stretched synthetic fiber, nylon. With this as a momentum, DuPont, which used to be a gunpowder company, grew into one of the world's leading chemical firms. DuPont accumulated competitiveness during the Great Depression, and after the economic recession, the company was at another level, making remarkable performances. This was indeed a good example of supercompensation. If it were not for the financial freedom, DuPont would have had a difficult time making such drastic decisions. The numerous inventions that were made in the 1930s served as a stepping stone for America's economic development. The U.S. economy was securing its capacity for surplus compensation during the period around that Great Depression. And freedom was the major engine. On June 5th, 1947, during the Marshall speech addressed by U.S. Secretary of State George Marshall at Harvard University's commencement ceremony, the U.S. program to provide aid to post-war Europe was presented. He announced that our policy is directed not against any country or doctrine, but against hunger, poverty, desperation, and chaos. This was the famous European Recovery Program, more commonly known as the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan was enacted in 1948 and provided aid to Western Europe following the devastation of World War II. Western Europe's growth rate recorded about 40% within 3 years and achieved supercompensation. The philosophy of the Marshall Plan was directly applied to the policies towards economic revival in Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, and ultimately contributed to the economic miracles in Asia.